Hello everyone, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, I'm Maddie. I run EdTech Classroom, the blog, podcast, and of course YouTube channel. In today's video, I am sharing my essentials for back to school as a teacher. Everything that you see in today's video I made digitally using Google Slides and Google Sites. So if you're interested in grabbing your own copy of the ideas or the templates that I share in this video, be sure to check out the links in the description down below. So without further ado, let's get started. My first back to school essential is to create a Meet the Teacher welcome letter. Meet the Teacher letters are a really great way to introduce yourself to your students, to families, and a great way to welcome them to your classroom community. I'm a big fan of sending out Meet the Teacher letters prior to the first day of school, but you also can share these with families by printing them out and giving them to students to take home during the first week of school, or you can even share them with families during your back to school night. So right now we are looking at an example of some back to school welcome letters or Meet the Teacher letters that I put together in Google Slides. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, everything that I'm going to be sharing with you all is stuff I actually made using Google products like Slides and Sites. So this is the first example here. You'll see that I put together this Meet the Teacher letter, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see some more detail here. So first, at the top of the screen or at the top of the page, it says Meet the Teacher and my name, Miss Maddie. I think that this is a nice way to kind of set the tone for what is going to be seen on the remainder of the page here. So if we scroll down, you'll see first we start off with a brief welcome letter. You can use this space to introduce yourself very briefly. You can share some information about how long you've been teaching this grade level, why you like teaching this grade level or this subject area, and you can share maybe something like your favorite part about being a teacher. Then if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see on the left-hand side, we have this picture of myself. You'll see that I just found a picture of myself that looked nice, looked professional, and I cropped it into the shape of a circle. If you're interested in learning how to do that in Google Slides, I will have a tutorial linked for you guys down below to check out about how to crop a shape into a circle. Then on the right here, you'll see that we have this short about me section. This is where I like to share some more information about myself for families. So you can share information like, where you grew up maybe, your credentials, where you went to school, for example. You can share some of your hobbies, what you enjoy doing on the weekends, and how long you've been a teacher for example. Next, if you scroll down a little bit, you can share some more information about yourself in kind of a fun format by creating something like these favorites. So you can share your favorite food, your favorite book, hobby, subject, candy, drink, color, animal. It's really up to you. But these are some examples that I put together that I might share in a back to school Meet the Teacher letter to share with families. Then on the right-hand side, you can also include some contact information. So you can share your email address for families to be able to communicate with you. If you use a class website, you can include your class website link, or maybe if you're using Google Classroom, you could share your class code there. And then lastly, you also can share your phone number as well, if that's something that you want to provide families with. So that is what the front page of this letter might look like. If we move over to page 2, if you wanted to do a printout situation, you could print this out front and back, or if you wanted to attach it as a PDF to share with families, you could do that as well. Just have a 2-page PDF here. And on the backhand side, you can actually share some more information, some more in-depth, letter that you would write to families. I like to think of the first page as kind of just being a quick at-a-glance view to get to know more about you. And then on the second page, you can share some more specific information about your class, your teaching style. So if we look here, you'll see it's just a general welcome letter here. You can address it to parents, you can address it to families, to guardians, whatever language you feel comfortable using. And then if you scroll down here, you'll see first we can start off by writing a short introductory paragraph. You can share information where you introduce yourself. You can talk about how long you've been teaching this grade level, the subject area, why you're excited about the next school year, why you love teaching. Then in the second paragraph, this is a really great place for you to write about what this school year is going to look like. You could write some ideas about classroom community. Maybe you'll talk about how you plan to support student social emotional needs this school year. It's kind of up to you what lens you'd like to take with this. Then for the third paragraph, I always really recommend that teachers set some expectations about communication. This is a great place for families to learn about how often you plan to reach out to them, how they should contact you, how often you guys will communicate. You can even include a note here about parent volunteers. So this can be a great paragraph for you to set expectations about communication. And then for your final paragraph at the bottom here, you can thank families for their support. You can talk about how excited you are to have their child in your class, or other general positive remarks about the grade level, school, etc. Keep it personal but applicable to all families in your class. So these are some ideas of what I recommend including on your Meet the Teacher welcome letters here. Again, I made this in Google Slides, so this is a template that you are able to download and use if you're interested. I will have it linked in the description down below if you would like to grab your own copy. I'm going to show you a few other formats that I have as well, because I did put together some other style options for teachers. So this next one here is an example of a more cactus themed Meet the Teacher letter. I know that that's a theme that a lot of teachers choose to incorporate in their classroom, so I've created this one as well. You'll see that the welcome letter also has this cactus theme with it. Then I also have this boho rainbow theme as well. Just hoping to give you guys some ideas for how you can customize these letters to either match your classroom decor or match your general taste or interests. So these are some examples that I put together. Again, I will have them linked in the video description down below, or of course you can always make your own. I will have some additional tutorials linked for you in case you're curious how to create something like this with Google Slides. My next back to school essential is to create a classroom newsletter. Many teachers will send out classroom newsletters either weekly or monthly to families, and I have created these fun newsletter templates that you can use from month to month or week to week, however frequently you would like to use them. So I am going to open up Google Slides and show you guys how I created this classroom newsletter template. So now we are in Google Slides here, and this is an example of the classroom newsletter template that I put together. I personally really think that classroom newsletters are a great way to get to share information with families regularly. Like I said, you can send these out weekly, you can send them out monthly, whatever frequency you think works for your classroom, or whatever frequency your school has asked you to send them out. I know that many schools do want teachers to be sending these out regularly. So this is an example of a template that I put together. So basically what I recommend including in your classroom newsletter is 5 different sections. All of these headers here are going to be editable in case you would like to share different information with families at your school, but these are some recommendations or ideas that I put together to help give you some inspiration. So up at the top we have newsletter. I also do have a option that says class news. It's up to you, whichever language you prefer using. Then this is going to be a great place for you to actually type the date, the week, the month. So for example, you could say, this is our August classroom newsletter, whatever frequency you've decided. This is a good place to put that information. And then first here we have a section for classroom news. This could be a place where you share just general classroom news information about the happenings that are going on in your classroom. You can share really important announcements here. This is meant to be more paragraph style where you can actually type something out to families. Then underneath that here, you'll see I have this section that's called We Are Learning. This is essentially just a section where you can share some learning goals for either the different subjects that you're teaching or for the different units that are going on in your classroom depending on what you teach. So for example, if you're an elementary school teacher, this could be a good place for you to write out some of the learning goals that are happening in reading, math, science, etc. So that is a place to include some of those learning goals. And then right here up in the top right, you'll see that we have this section for reminders. This is a good place for you to share reminders for families. So maybe there is something coming up like a field trip form that families need to submit, or maybe they need to submit, they need to sign up for conferences. That is the type of information that can go right here in this reminders section. Then underneath that, we have important dates. So if there are important dates coming up, like a back to school night or maybe there is an assembly that families are able to attend, picture day, those type of important dates can go right here. And then underneath that, you can have a to-do section. So they can look at that to-do section and know that these are the action items that they need to complete immediately. So that can be a good place for you to share some of those immediate action items or takeaways from the rest of the newsletter. So for example, something right there, you could say under to-do, you could say complete field trip form by August 1st, for example. So that is a general idea of what I would recommend including on a classroom newsletter. In addition to this format that you see here, I have also created some other style options. So if we keep looking on the left-hand side, you'll see here's an example of that boho rainbow theme that we saw with the Meet the Teacher letters, another version that says class news instead of newsletter. Then I have this kind of like funky groovy theme happening, and then I also have that cactus theme again. So these are some examples of these classroom newsletters. If you look right here, this is actually an example of one filled out. You'll see that under classroom news, I wrote a couple of paragraphs about what's happening. I talked about the read aloud of the month. You can even include some information about what to ask your child so that families can engage in conversation about what students are learning about. You'll see those learning goals are included under the We Are Learning section, and then reminders, important dates, and to-dos. So again, I made this all using Google Slides. If you like the templates that I included, I will have a link for you guys down below to grab your own copy. My next back to school essential is to create a class website using Google Sites. I know that many teachers really enjoy putting together their class websites in Google Sites. However, I do know that this can feel overwhelming or time-consuming for teachers. So I'm super excited and proud of this template that I put together because I think it's just a really great way to save time. But I'm going to show you guys some recommendations or ideas of what you can include in your class website. Of course, you can make your own just like you can with everything you're seeing in this video, or if you want to grab a copy of the one that I created, you can click on the link in the description down below. So let's take a look at an example of my class website and some ideas of what to include on yours. So right now we are in Google Sites. So for the last two sections of the video, we were using Google Slides. Now to create our class website, we are going to look at Google Sites. Right now we are in edit view. So this is what it looks like from the editing perspective, not from the perspective of when you actually view the published website. I will show you what that looks like in just a bit. But this is a sample of what your class website could look like. Up at the top here, you'll see that we have this header image that says welcome to our class page. If you scroll down, you'll see we have these three buttons that take you to a Meet the Teacher tab, a weekly schedule tab, and a contact information tab. Here you'll see that we have a short welcome message here where you can welcome families to your grade level or to your class. You can share some brief information about the purpose of this class website. I think that an important use for a class website is to consider using it as a landing page for all things that are related to students' class, to a child's class. So on this website, families are able to find the weekly schedule, weekly assignments, contact information, class information, and more. This can also be a great place for you to share photos of the happenings in your classroom with families. Now on the left-hand side here, I've included an image of myself. However, I would recommend instead including an image of students. I'm not doing that for privacy reasons, but I would recommend that you include, a picture of students, of your classroom, of something else, but I put a picture of myself here as well. You could do that of you and your teaching team if you would like. So that is what I would recommend including on the homepage. You also could include a calendar if you want to share some important dates or information with families about what's coming up. You could include a calendar down below. I just linked this to Google Calendar to give you an idea of what this looks like, but you also could include a scanned calendar, for example, or a table that you've created. So that is what I would recommend including on the homepage. Now, again, we're in edit view right now, so I'm going to be navigating using the right-hand side, but I'll show you what it looks like in a published version. Next, we can click on this Meet the Teacher tab. This is where you can basically copy and paste a lot of the information that you've included in your Meet the Teacher letter that you share with families. So this can just be a digital version of that. If you scroll here, you'll see I share some information about myself, some of my favorites, just like I had on that Meet the Teacher letter. If you are a part of a teaching team, you also can include multiple of that. So you can have, teacher 1, teacher 2, teacher 3, etc. if you are a part of a team, but this can be a great way for families to get to know you. Then next, let's take a look at the class news section. So if you are wanting to incorporate a classroom newsletter like I showed in the previous section of this video, you could actually upload that here if you would like, so that there's actually a tab on your website that's getting updated regularly. You could either add this as a PDF here, you could import this in some way, or you could actually build out your newsletter here as well. It's up to you, but I would recommend adding a section for class news as well. Next, we can take a look at the weekly schedule. So the weekly schedule can be updated weekly. It can include information that's happening in each subject area from week to week. You'll see that I actually have like a landing page here for the weekly schedule where I have reading, writing, social studies, all of the different subject areas where families essentially can click on an icon and it will redirect them to the reading tab. This looks a little bit different since we're in editing mode, but I will show you what it looks like when we are in the published view. So families essentially could then click on reading, the reading tab, for example, and they could go to either, view assignments that are happening in reading. They could see pictures of what's happening in reading this week. They could get any sort of information that you want to share here. I have it broken down day by day, but you can do this however you think makes sense. But I do like having a tab dedicated to each subject area. That's something that works well for me, but at the end of the day, you know your classroom and your teaching style best. So next, another great section to include would be class information. So this is where you can just share additional class information for families. I would recommend this being something that you're not updating frequently, like maybe you put it on here once and then you don't need to revisit it again. So, you could add your class Zoom room here, you could add your Google Classroom, your Seesaw account, you could add your homework policy, your grading scale, information about field trips, any sort of forms. You can add all of that to this class information page. Again, I recommend not using this as a page that you're updating regularly. Really, you just want to be updating your weekly schedule so you don't have to worry about constantly having to make changes to your class page. Then lastly, a section for contact information where you can share information about how families can reach you directly. You can do that for all of the different teachers if you're a part of a team, or just yourself if it's just you. So that is what I would recommend including on your class page. Now let's take a look at what this looks like in published view. This is what the website looks like when it is published. So this is the view that families would see when they visit your class page. You'll see this is the home page. We have the header up at the top here that says welcome to our class page, and then the navigation menu on the left hand side is how families can get to different tabs. So for example, if we click on weekly schedule, you'll see now this drop down menu appears to click on a specific subject area, or they can click on one of these icons like writing, for example, and view all of the weekly schedule updates to the writing tab, for example. So this is a template that I fully built out in Google Sites. If you're interested in using this same template, you can check out the link below in the video description to grab your own copy. But of course, you are welcome to make your own as well. You can use this video as a guide to create your own. Google Sites is a really user-friendly tool, but I like this template because it's great for helping you save time, because it can take quite a bit of time actually getting a Google Site set up. But again, welcome to make your own as well. The next back to school essential on my list is my teacher binder. This has everything you could possibly need. It is customizable. It's great for staying organized. It has a bunch of different classroom forms in it, from keeping track of field trip forms, class lists, medical information about students, passwords. Everything you could possibly need is included in this teacher binder. Then there is also a complete planner or schedule in this as well. I made everything that you'll see here in Google Slides and I printed it out. What's great about this is it can be really expensive to buy a new planner every single year. So basically with this template or this product, you can buy it one time and then it's updated for free every year, much cheaper than buying a planner even once, much less year after year. So I really like this product. I think it's amazing. So let's take a look at what it looks like actually on the inside. So this is what the teacher planner binder looks like when you open it up. The beginning starts off with a bunch of different class forms. So you'll see that we have class list here. We have birthdays, we have contact information, we have more contact information, a seating chart if you want to draw out your seating chart. There are sub-plans here, so there's lots of different forms. You can keep track of student data and attendance and stuff like that. I'm just going to keep kind of moving forward. You get the point. There's a bunch of different classroom forms in here. There's planning pages, and then we move on to the actual planner part, which is the part that I think is so awesome. So you'll see we have this year at a glance view that you can print out, and then next here we have a section for important dates for the entire year. And then we move on to the month of August, and you'll see we have this add a month view. We have different holidays included in here, a place to take notes. And then this is what the block view actually looks like. As I mentioned, it comes in hourly or block. I personally like block scheduling. It works well for me, but I do have a hourly version as well. So you'll see basically in these different blocks, you can write out what you have going on. You can do, plan out your lessons or your days. And then you also can keep track of, what you have going on next week as well. So like I said, I made this in Google Slides, including the front covers. This is one cover example, but I'll show you guys what the other covers look like as well. Sorry for the glare, I have an overhead light, but hopefully you get the idea. This is what it would look like, printed out. These are what the different printable planner and binder covers look like. You'll see it's just 8.5 by 11, standard size of the piece of paper that you can print out. So you'll see that we have all these different choices. They start to get different. You'll see here we have some other choices that you can print out. You basically can choose whichever one you like best and then print it out. I am going to be adding new covers every year, so be sure to re-download if you do end up purchasing this product. This is what the hourly planner looks like in Google Slides. This is the tool I use to make this planner. You'll see that as I just kind of scroll down, go from page to page, this is something that you can print out. This product does come with a digital version, which is really great for those of you that like to do digital planning. I really like to print stuff out, so I wanted there to be multiple options. But basically, again, I made all of this in Google Slides, so if you want to make your own, you definitely can. These are just tables that I put together, and you'll see we have the dates, so that's August, and I'll show you guys what September looks like too. That way you can get an idea. Again, this is an hourly schedule that starts at 6 a.m., goes all the way through 8 or 9 p.m. So that is what this schedule looks like, the hourly planner. And then lastly, I'm going to show you guys the classroom forms before we move on to the next back to school essential. And lastly, these are the classroom forms that are also printable. You can definitely make these as well if you would like. Again, we're in Google Slides, so you'll see we have class list, class birthdays, contact information, seating charts, sub-plans, attendance, student data, medical information, student passwords, field trip forms, communication log, notes, a daily plan, weekly plan, and monthly plan. So lots of different classroom forms that are great for you to be able to stay organized in your teacher binder. And my last back to school essential for teachers is to create your own classroom decor. I love decorating classrooms. I love decorating in general. It's so much fun, but I know that it can get pretty expensive, and I think that teachers spend too much of their own money on school supplies and on classroom decor. So I wanted to come up with a way that you could use a tool like Google Slides to decorate your classroom for free. So I'm super excited about this template that I put together. It's completely free, so if you like the one that I made, be sure to click the link in the video description under classroom decor, or of course you can also make your own version. So let's check out the version that I created that has a Lego theme to it. So this is the classroom decor example that I put together that you can print out and put on your bulletin board or on your classroom door, for example. You'll see I just kind of created a digital rendering of what this could look like on a bulletin board, but the theme here is Legos, and it says building an amazing year. And you'll see that we have these Lego bricks here that have the 4 C's of 21st century learning on them: critical thinking, creativity, communication, collaboration, and then we also have these Lego minifigure heads on here as well. So again, I made this in Google Slides. So let's take a look at some design ideas. So this one here is what this could look like on a bulletin board. We already kind of looked at this example. Here's another example. So in addition to having those 4 Lego bricks that say the 4 C's, there's also blank ones that you could actually write student names on. So again, this is a digital rendering. This is not what you would actually print out, but I just kind of wanted to give you an idea of what this could look like. So we have the letters in the middle that say building an amazing year, and then you could have a mini figurehead for each student in your class, kind of around the center text that you have. And you could have students decorate their own if you wanted. You could have them add hairstyles, for example, accessories, or you could just leave them as they are, print them out, and then underneath each Lego, you could add a student's name to it. So that could be kind of a fun idea of a way that you could use this to decorate a bulletin board. This is what this could look like if you wanted to decorate your door, for example. And now let's see what this looks like as you print it out. So basically each of these I made in Google Slides again. Size of a piece of paper, I did the formatting differently than you've seen in the previous. So instead of doing 8.5 by 11, I did 11 by 8.5. If you aren't sure how to adjust the page size in Google Slides, I will include a tutorial on how to do that below as well. But here you'll see we have collaboration, we have communication, creativity, critical thinking. Then you'll see we have the blank ones that you can print out, and you can actually handwrite on them if you'd like, or you can keep them blank. So I just made these using the shape tool. I grabbed a rectangle, grabbed some more rectangles, changed the color, changed the borders. And then you'll see we have the Lego minifigure heads as well, along with the words that say building an amazing year that you can cut out. So I made all of this again. Super simple, super easy, great low cost option to decorate your classroom. I'll have this linked for free for you guys down below if you like the version I made, or you can get creative and make your own. It also comes in black and white in case you would like to color it, save some ink, completely up to you. All you have to do is print this out, so there's a little bit of cost involved there, but for the most part, this is going to be pretty low cost and free. Thank you so much for watching today's video featuring my back to school essentials that I made using Google Slides and Google Sites. If you liked this video, be sure to give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you're not already, and I'll see you back here soon. Bye, friends.